Oh, baby, we back. It's about time. Oh, it feels good. Episode 5. I got some great guests today. Got my boy Malcolm Garcia. He's the president of Vibe. Got Miss Erin King. We're going to talk about it. We're going to be about it. We're going to find a solution. Really, what I want to talk about is I want y'all to stay tuned because PVAMU-TV, we doing big things. Thanks to Professor Teresa Dalvez, Marshayla Thomas, Nigel, and Bobby Etheridge. We doing big things. We got 5 shows for y'all. Amazing people doing big things. We got Talk on the Hill. We got entertainment news. We got a news show. We have a sports show. I want y'all to stay tuned. I want y'all to support everybody who's doing this. We're trying to make something happen. We're trying to put PV's communication program on the map. We want y'all to be engaged and we want feedback. We want y'all to let us know if you like it, what you like about it, what you want to see, because we're really a voice for you. So stay tuned. We had some shows drop earlier before mine. Got more shows coming this week, so just get ready. We're coming to you live. We finna go to commercial break.
Yo.
Man, it's about time. Today's topic is something we really should discuss. It goes on college campuses across the nation. It's just happening in our world, period, not just on college campuses. Today's episode, we're going to talk about rape culture. My 2 guests today. I got Miss Ari King. She's a freshman criminal justice major from Phoenix, Arizona. To her right, we got Mr. Malcolm Garcia, graduating in 2019 from Dallas, Texas. He's also the president of Vibes. Miss Erin, tell us about your experience.
Nothing too major, but just things that as you get older, as you're growing, it's just kind of becomes like just casual to you. Mm-hmm. It's not really like anything surprising after a while. I had an experience in New York where I went to use the restroom. I'm standing outside and there was a man, he was in there, he was homeless. And not sure what he was doing, but it was the women's restroom, mind you. So it was a single restroom. He opened the door and he came out. And in my mind, I was like, okay, this is the women's restroom. Like, what's going on here? But anyhow, he walked out. I went inside and it just smelled like him. So I opened the door. And when I opened the door, he was still standing there. And so, like, everybody talks about what you would do in a situation. Oh, I would holler, I would scream, I would yell, but I just froze. Mm-hmm. And in that situation, he was just asking me questions, taking a step closer, trying to push me into the bathroom. And it just was an incident where I wasn't with my family. I was on a debate trip. I didn't have my siblings. I didn't have my parents. And so in that situation, I was not interested in speaking to the police about it. I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. Plus, I just felt like, you know, him being a homeless man, what was really going to happen? He was going to be released, you know, even though if the owners hadn't came and stepped in, you know, I'm not sure what specifically would have happened. Mm-hmm. But with that situation, I just kind of wanted to forget about it. I didn't want to talk about it anymore. And so I'm not sure where he is, but he's out there.
So that situation, what did it change how you, when you're alone now and not with your family or with friends, did it change how you move when you go to the bathroom or when you're walking late at night?
Definitely. With who I'm with, generally, everyone, or females, women, if I'm going to the restroom, I'm going to bring somebody with me. Mm-hmm. This instance, or this time, the food had just came out, so I decided I was just going to go alone. When I would take my sisters to the restroom, if I take my friends to the restroom with me, it's not with the thought in mind that something's going to happen to me and that I need help in that area. I take them because a lot of people don't like going to the restroom alone. You might take pictures, fix your makeup, do things like that. The intent is not so that there's somebody else with you in case something dangerous in that situation happens. I'm not going to the restroom and saying, hey, in case I get raped, in case I'm sexually harassed, assaulted, I'd like to bring someone with me. So after that, it was different. Going places alone, I'm definitely more aware. But it's not all the time that you can bring someone with you. Like, sometimes you have to go alone. So it's that instance where it's just, you just pray that, you make it to and from where you're going safely.
Malcolm, we hear instances like this all the time. Some tend to be fatal. Some tend to, go a little further than Aries did. As a man, and a black man at that, what's your take on rape culture specifically?
Well, I'm gonna target what I've seen in the black community specifically. Growing up, it was no secret what happens. I'm not gonna say in the black family, but at least in mine, from uncles touching nieces to cousins touching maybe cousins or doing whatever whatever happens, and then somebody choosing favoritism or refusing to see what's actually going on because of the relationship towards the person who did the what am I looking for? Who did the touching, I guess, and even from my mom to my grandma, even to my sister, they've all been sadly a victim of it, and my mom did her best to try to stop it, but I don't know. It's a sad reality I feel like we need to face and we need to break as well, because even coming to PV, almost every woman I've talked to, they've been able to share that experience with each other, and that's not something you want to have in common with one another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as even as a friend or as a brother or whatever, you feel like you're supposed to be there to protect them. But at that moment, you may not have been available or whatever, but it makes you question not just yourself, but the world that we live in. You know what I mean? And it's a sad reality. And I feel like, I'm not going to say it's a generational curse, but it's something that has to be broken and something that has to be dealt with in a black community specifically. And the reason why I'm so focused on the black community is because, it's easy to say this happens in every other, but I'm black. You know what I mean? We black. You know what I mean? We got to focus on us. We can't fix anything else until we fix ourselves. And that's a huge issue I've seen. So the way it makes me feel saddened. It makes me feel it makes me question, are we really here to protect our women, or like what do we do? You know what I mean? Because we can't be with them 24/7.
Yeah.
But even with a brother, maybe you would hope to think that another brother who sees a woman doesn't have that intent to harm her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Ari, does that your experience, does it change the way that you interact with male individuals now? Even though, it didn't go there, but does it change the way you interact with males from that point on to now and going forward?
Not necessarily my entire interaction, but it does, change how I think, how I'm thinking about them. It's like, especially being in college now, everyone, it's all about relationships, talking. Let's, go to a private, secluded place. And it just, not necessarily how I interact with them. If we're friends, if we're cool, then I'm going to keep going on that path. But it just is, you have to be more cautious and more aware.
Yeah.
And overall, it just changes the way that I think about them. Just my thoughts, meeting them, seeing like a group of persons, like seeing a large crowd of men, as unfortunate as it is, sometimes you just have to say some of them, like there's a chance that some of them are rapists. And there's also a chance that some of them are the friends of rapists and are not saying anything. So as frustrating as it is, you just try to steer away from dangerous situations and do what you can. But I just feel like it shouldn't be just the rapist that should be looked at. If you have a friend that is doing something like that, it's a community. Like it will take a whole community to fix this. Because if you have one person that's doing it, yes, we can talk to the person that's doing it, and that should be your most important thing to do. But the other people that know about it and are not saying anything, this is important. People are doing it because, well, if I don't get in trouble for it, it's okay. If you have a friend that's a rapist and nobody's doing anything, nobody's saying, hey, that's disgusting, hey, that's sick, like, I'm going to do something. The problem that we have in our community is nobody likes to tell. Snitches get stitches. But in situations where people are raping each other, it's like you're just going to hide that, because once it happens to someone close to you or when it happens to you, God forbid, or if it is a situation where it's major, then you're going to want everybody's help. But when things like that happen, the problem with our community is we don't want to tell anybody what happened because snitches get stitches. Okay, I understand that. But at the same time, when it's coming to things like this, people raped, people murdered, all these things happen and nobody's saying anything, that's like, it's you being silent, you seeing it and just being silent is the same thing as, well, I won't say it's the same thing, but it's close to you doing it, because you see what's happening, you know what's happening, and you're not going to do anything about it, you're not going to say anything about it, and you're letting it be. So
both of y'all can answer this. Malcolm, why do you think people don't say anything when their friends may take advantage of a young woman, or they may be in the next room and hear a young woman crying for help, but they don't say anything? Both of y'all can answer, but why do you think that is?
Honestly, I tend to have an opinion on everything, but when it comes to that, I couldn't put myself in that space to be able to relate, or at least try to understand. Mm-hmm. Because just going off of what she said, making it maybe a snitching thing. During the summer, I kind of tried to make an initiative to basically say, like, a Let's Get On It campaign. And it was to promote accountability when it comes to the black community. So even with brotherhood, you know what I mean? Hold each other accountable. Mm-hmm. So within that situation, you got to hold your brother accountable. So I couldn't be able to, if I was to try to force myself to think, you know, why wouldn't someone say something? It would be that bond, that personal relationship they have with that person, afraid of what was to happen if, you know, it was to get out. You know, maybe just trying to protect them. That's the only way I could think of it.
Honestly, just like what I was saying before, we have such a it's not my business kind of outlook. Nothing's our business. If it doesn't directly affect us, then I'm not going to say anything about it. Unless it was my parent, unless it was my sister, unless it was my cousin, I'm not going to say anything about it because it don't got nothing to do with me. But once it does become a person's parent or their sibling, then they're going to want help. But overall, if something like that were to be happening, it's just mind your business. Go on about your business. If you hear it, you know, just ignore it. Don't say anything.
One of my biggest fears about being a dad at some point is that this could happen to my daughter, or hell, even happen to my son. Or they getting kidnapped. You know, just something happening to your child, period. And we see that the guy, something happened to his daughter, and he went and he beat the dude. But he got 40 years for it. I think he killed him. He got 40 years for that. Granted, we shouldn't be able to take someone's life. But at the same time, if they do harm, like me personally, I might have taken the same path. Because you done hurt my child now. Now we have an issue. Whether somebody in my family, period. So, is it right that the dad, knowing something just happened to his daughter, and he's seen the guy walk past him, and he got 40 years for defending his child, do you think that's right? 40 years?
I don't. But sadly, our justice system isn't based off of morals and ethics. It's more about what they view as just and unjust. All they see is somebody dead and somebody has to be accountable. You know, and sadly, the same system that holds us accountable, we don't hold each other accountable for. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's a sad reality. But no, I don't believe he deserved that. But
Do you think he deserved some time?
sometimes,
Because 40 years is a long time for defending your child.
I don't believe he deserved any time.
You don't believe? Okay.
I need to know the situation though, because I'm not familiar with that.
His daughter was sexually assaulted in the bathroom. I forgot by the guy, but he sexually assaulted the guy's daughter in the bathroom, and then he sped off, and the guy got in his truck, chased him down, got him out of his car, and he beat him.
Okay, no, I don't feel like he deserved any time for that. I feel like it should be considered self-defense, in a sense of he's defending his daughter, and that's a man who's obviously stronger than her. She's innocent, all that, and that's the father. He's supposed to protect her. That daughter is his, and I feel like that should be considered self-defense, which is not against the law.
Yeah.
So.
No, the age should not matter. But just looking at it the way that I look at it, I'm a criminal justice major. This is a 10-year-old child. If you are comfortable with doing something like that to a 10-year-old child, to anyone, let alone someone that is 10 years old, like what were you doing at 10 years old? Not thinking about harming anyone, just completely, I won't say completely, but innocent, nothing. Like, and it's just like something is mentally not right. Our country, our justice system is supposed to be built on what is right and what is wrong. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be built on what's morally okay and what will benefit our country overall, over time. And for things like that to be happening, it's like, if the judge would have been put in the same situation where it was their child, do you really think that they would have sentenced someone who beat that person who assaulted their child for 40 years? No.
So how do we get away from allowing our friends to, and it's not even just sexual assault, it's calling girls hoes, calling them out of their name. It's the grabbing a girl from behind, touching a girl inappropriate, whatever. There's different forms of it. So how do we get away from that and going to where we're protecting them, we're uplifting them? They're on these pedestals, they're our queens, no matter the color, no matter, none of that. So how do we get away from seeing them as just objects and seeing them as something that we have to conquer?
It's all accepted behavior. It's all learned behavior. If you grow up in an area where everyone's calling women's hoes, where you're calling them the B word, then it's going to be accepted. It's just something that's all right. It has to be stopped. When you hear things like that, when you see it, those are things that need to be stopped immediately. It's once again, it can't just be a not my business. It has to be corrected immediately. Anytime I'm in a room, anytime I'm anywhere, and I hear that, I'm like, well, why do they have to be that word? Why can they not be women? And overall, it's all about protecting and fixing the way we go about the people that are oppressed. People of color, women. In our justice system, in our communities, it's acceptable to treat them a different way. And, yeah.
I feel like it starts with accountability, like I said before. Because I'm going to just use myself as an example. I didn't grow up calling women the B word or all that. I grew up, my mama taught me to respect women no matter what. When I got here, I started to get influenced. And then I wouldn't call no woman a B word or whatever, but it just slipped out my mouth just saying the word.
Yeah.
And my women friends will hold me accountable. She's even gotten on me before, like, why you got to use that word and this and that. And it's just sometimes a reality check itself. Sometimes you separate yourself. It's almost looking at yourself in another eye. You know what I mean? You look, see what you're doing, and you question, and you checks and balance yourself or whatever, and you adjust and realize this ain't right. And sometimes we be so stuck in our ways, we refuse to see what we're doing. And I feel like accountability is one part, and also having people, or just checking yourself regardless.
I like it. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for detailing your experience for us. Thank you for giving us a woman's perspective on this, Malcolm. I appreciate you. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to give you my closing remarks. It's about time. What a conversation. What a topic. I know some young ladies who this has personally happened to, and it really hurts to know that this happens to somebody close to you, and you can't really, because you don't know what to say to them. You don't know how to help them move forward, because you don't want to see them go through this alone. You hear stories and you think, man, if that was me, I'll handle it like this. If that was my friend, I'll handle it like this. But until you really get in that situation, you don't know what you're going to do. You don't know how you're going to react. If your little cousin came up and said somebody touched her, your little brother said somebody touched him, in your head, you're going to want to do damage, but you don't know. Your main goal is figuring out how to help them, and that's what we got to figure out. First, we got to figure out how to stop this from happening. That's the main thing, and that's going to be a conversation we got to have. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard, but we got to do it. I pray we get there. It's not going to be an easy road. It's not going to be something that happens in October, November, or December. But if we start now, we can get the wheels rolling. And that way we can start protecting our women, start protecting our young boys, even our older boys. I hope we get there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about time. I'm going to see you next week.